What an ending. I did not expect an emotional journey like this. Don't watch the anime, it sucks. It's unnecessarily edgy. The fight animation sucks. The pacing is terrible. There are different kinds of there are the kinds of edgy shows that you can watch when you're 16 and ignore all the problems, because at that age anything with like sex and violence is automatically cool. But when you're an adult, you realize just how stupid those shows actually are. And then there are the edgy shows that use the sex and violence to tell a richer story, so even when you're an adult, you can appreciate it because you know it's not pointless. It's a spectrum, and Gantz, the show, is more on the former side than the latter. You ever been on a vacation that just like lasted way too long and you got burnt out? And it seems like counterintuitive. Like, why would you need a break from the break that you're taking, right? That's like this show, or this manga actually. Like, it starts off really, really refreshing. It's a nice palate cleanser from all the other stuff that you watch. But now that it's over, I need a palate cleanser from this. Gantz isn't for everyone. In fact, it's not for most people, probably. It's not for people who are susceptible to like existential thoughts. It's not for people who have never watched anime before. But it wouldn't be bad as someone's first manga. And there really is no other way to consume Gantz. Like that like 3D movie, the visuals look kind of cool, but I don't trust it. The manga's the way to go. But the opening and credits music of the anime are pretty catchy, especially the credits music. It fits like the mood of the story really, really well. Also, the first little prologue, that like train scene in the anime, that's done perfectly. But that's because the pacing of it is like painfully slow. But then everything else goes downhill because you realize that wasn't like a stylistic choice for that little, beginning preface part, but it's like the pacing throughout the entire thing. The manga, on the other hand, it's not on the other hand, it's shockingly dark. There are no happy moments. There's always this like looming sense of despair constantly hanging over the characters. Not like that they'll die. Like, this goes well beyond that whole like Game of Thrones, you never know who's gonna die next style. Cause in Gantz, some punishments are worse than death. Every time there's even a slight win, there's always casualties. Every time they get some new information, it always backfires. Every time they take 2 steps forward, they're pushed 5 steps back. Even when Kay finally gets his freedom, he escapes, he loses all of his memories of the entire incident. It's almost as if the writer is trying to hammer in the idea like everything comes with a price. If something seems too good to be true, or even good at all, the first thing that should come to your mind is, what's the catch? And I think it speaks more about the writer and the world that he lives in and his personal story than it does about the characters in the manga. Every bit of hope that you have in the goodness of the characters just gets crushed one after another, until finally you understand Kei, and even crazier, you understand Nishi. In a world where it's kill or be killed, how could you not become a sociopath? Like, you'd be stupid to not want to abandon empathy in such a crazy and unempathetic world. It's a really cynical manga. Every time there's some redeeming character, they either have to have some evil ulterior motives hidden, or they die before they can become the villain. Like when that little kid got killed by like his stepdad and resurrected by Gantz, only to get like brutally eaten alive by that alien. Gantz also really knows how to instill this like feeling of like overwhelming hopelessness. The more the story progresses, the less and less effective they are. Like, yeah, they get more skilled as time passes, but the game just gets way too hard, way too fast. Like I said, it's not for the faint of heart. They don't shy away from murder and suicide and cruel torture, insanity, bestiality, rape. Like straight up, it's not even like implied. Like, they explicitly show characters raping other characters. Like, it's dark and heavy, and if you aren't desensitized yet, it'll probably give you nightmares. But there's also a deep hidden profundity to it. The universe itself is cruel. Life suffering is RNG. It's impartial. Nobody's spared. Not your grandma, not a baby, not your dog. No living organism is free from the possibility of great suffering and pain. It's a dog eat dog world. You're either a predator or you're prey. And we humans think of ourselves as moral, as if ending world hunger is a good thing and we all want that, and suffering and war is a bad thing and we all don't want that. But that's such a small way of thinking. For every creature that lives, another must die. It's a cycle of life. We're only able to have these conversations in the first place because of our inhumane treatment of all other life forms we come across. But what happens when another life form that's bigger than us, that's stronger than us, that's smarter than us, enslaves us for their own desire to remove pain and suffering from their lives? If humanity is enslaved, would we consider our masters inhumane? Everyone knows this, but nobody thinks about it deeply. Gantz forces you to look reality in the face and realize the slave master doesn't consider himself cruel, and neither does the people he feeds. It's not just humans, it's all life. The birds by this parking lot that I go to will regularly avoid humans, but their tone changes completely when I have bread in my hands. The reality is, we're no different. We're just animals. The cruelty and morality of it all does not matter. Plain and simple, the strong win. That's it. Full stop. But Gantz also takes it a step further and asks, like, if this is the case, then why the hell do we even care about the morality of it? Like, if it doesn't matter, why do we care about anything? What is this all for? There's no end to the obstacles in our lives. There's no end to this pathway through hell. If infinite time passes, at some point, Sisyphus would have to wonder, would it be better if he would just lay down and let the boulder crush him? And honestly, I don't know. But I do know this. These kinds of manga are not trash. I'm glad this was made. People often talk about like anime and manga that's like this as trash. Just a bunch of violence and gore and horror just for the sake of it. But then on a different day, they'll be like, we as a society need to talk about the important issues. We never talk about the controversial things. Well, that's because there aren't any words for it. There's no combination of words in any language that can make you feel what you'd feel watching a person being eaten alive. That's why media like this is important. That's why we need arts. It communicates something that only art can. Whether it was the artist's intent to make something deep or profound, or to make something shallow or edgy, it doesn't matter. Because in the process of pure artistic exploration, meaning emerges naturally. It's dark, it's hellish, it's pretty fucked up. The redemption arcs are hardly even a redemption. You're just grasping at straws hoping there's redemption. It's confusing psychologically. It's just violent battle after violent battle. And there's very little payoff or catharsis until the very, very end. And a serious disclaimer. You shouldn't read this unless you're sure you're good. Like no suicidal thoughts, nothing like that. And yet it was great. And I also thought the visual style was pretty damn good too. Maybe one of these days I'll go back and read Inuyashiki. Conscious, 6 out of 10.
It's Filthy Frank, motherfucker. It's Filthy Frank, bitch. Let's get some pussy tonight.
Da 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 da. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Down 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 down. Dun 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 dun.
Guys, you guys are the best. I never thought I'd make it to retirement.